The one thing too is that watching the people that are like supporting him and supporting it, right? I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene essentially tell people that, or said that people who are in these federal jobs need to get a real job. Like, and it kind of baffles me because she's a federal employee telling federal employees to get a real job and that they don't deserve their paycheck. And I'm like, are you just self snitching? Like, are you just telling us that you're not worth, like, I, it's,
Yeah, disconnected and lacking any level of self reflection.
yes, we are back for another episode of Wrapped. Today we take on February. I have my co-host Aaron. How's it going?
Not bad. How are
How's
you?
trying trying to keep myself emotionally stable and balanced with everything that's going on in the world. It feels like there's every day there's something else crazy happening, and there's a lot of times I'm just like, you know, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but
I do know.
the sad thing about it is, or the good thing, depending on how you look at it, we're about to go through a bunch of stuff that happened in February because it's it's what happened. So
Try to put it in a nice little package
100%. So
and
first of
deliver it to
all,
the people.
in case this gets removed in the future, February was Black History Month. So that was an interesting thing. I don't know if we have a lot of super great notable things this Black History Month, but you know, it happened, and it may not happen in the future. So while we have it, we might as well just start off there on what I would consider a high note.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, at least we had the most blackety black performance at the Super Bowl that we
Oh
could
man,
ever. I don't know if we're ever gonna see something like that again,
nope.
where it was Black History Month and then one of the most, I guess, culturally relevant performances by a big artist at the
Yep.
Super Bowl that we're probably ever gonna see in a
So
very
true.
black city of New Orleans.
So you know what? You started off right, and we're gonna get into that later on. But you are definitely right, and that was a highlight. And even talking about all of Kendrick's accolades are gonna be a part that we talk about later on. Once we get out of the initial, I would say, stressors, which is the damn political landscape, which we said we weren't gonna do too many of these, but how can you not talk about some of the stuff that's been happening? So starting off with one that's tangentially connected, there's been what feels like a rise in like plane accidents, or near misses, and truthfully, as someone who's kind of been paying attention to the industry because it's something that like, I kind of have an interest in as well. This is not really something that is very unique to right now. There've always been a growing amount of these incidents. The biggest one was the crash that happened in DC, which, pretty much unfortunately everybody passed. And so condolences to that. But the one in Canada was different, the Delta flight, because they landed and then flipped upside down. But I think for the most part, everybody was safe from that. Um, but yeah, what's your thoughts on this? And how do you think this will affect your feeling around flying? I know your answer, but I figured I'd ask it anyway.
Um, has it affected my feeling around flying? Yeah, yeah, to a degree, it has affected my feeling in the sense that when I get in the skies, I have to be prepared for potentially not making it to the other side where I'm supposed to be going. All in all, has it, turned me off of the idea of flying? Not really, because it's a very clear and present danger. I know that people say, oh, based on the statistics, it's one of the most safe forms of
Travel.
commuting
Mm-hmm.
and travel. But that doesn't matter to me because you have no control. You're not flying the plane. You're relying on a pilot. I've seen enough about pilots. I saw a story recently about a pilot that was flying on mushrooms. Like, so there's a lot of things there where it's like I don't care how safe, I don't care what the statistics say. You're putting your life in the hands of other people. So that has never changed. And all in all, it's like, yeah, whatever. This is gonna happen. So no, it doesn't really change it. It just is kind of like one of those things where it's like, all right, it's sitting in the back of my head that this has been a bit more of a frequent occurrence, at least it so appears, because of our ability to get news so quickly and the way things spread so quickly as a result of social media. But all in all, no, I'm not really phased by it too much, at least not now.
Well, the thing for me that I always have that thought, right? Because you're literally flying through the air in what's equivalent of a toothpaste tube with wings, right? Like, so there's always a potential, and the it is, to me, I do always like, that's thing I convince myself is like, this is the safest way to travel, because literally at any point, unlike a car, someone can drive a car impaired for a very long time, but it's not two people driving, right? And then it's not covered by so many, like, there's so many different airspaces, so like planes, you technically always are being covered. So that is the thing. And then also there's this weird fact that I know is like the most treacherous times in a flight are like 3 minutes after you take off, or like 8 minutes on landing. So I'm like, those are the times that I'm most concerned about. Like, if we get past that, then I'm
Takeoff and
good.
the landing.
Yeah, if we get past that, then I'm good. But you know, it's unfortunate, and I feel like there's been a lot of speculation of what causing these issues. People are blaming the stuff that's happening from the Trump administration. I was about to say immigration, but
well, that too.
that too. But some people are blaming DEI. It's been a whole lot of stuff. But which takes us into another controversy based on all the goings on of Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, which I preferred it when it was a shitty meme coin. This thing here is really interesting. So if you're not been paying attention, which if you're not, thank God, because that means you've regained some level of sanity. But Doge and Elon Musk have been, ripping through the government in the same way that he did to Twitter, and firing a bunch of people and sending out emails telling people that if they don't respond, like they need to respond with 5 things they did, or essentially like they're getting fired, is kind of the idle threat there. What are your thoughts on all of this?
It's disgusting. Every last bit of it. When I first heard the idea of the Department of Government Efficiency, I thought, this isn't a bad idea, because
it sounds good.
There is quite a bit of taxpayer dollars that are being wasted. And it would be nice to have a department that actually checks some of that, not only so that we're not consistently being taxed at the rate that we're currently being taxed, but also because of the big deficit that we currently hold. It would be nice to actually save some money so that we could start paying down this over $30 trillion worth of debt that we're carrying. But that was when it was an idea. Now that it is a reality, it sounds like an absolute disaster. By the end of the 4-year run that Trump is going through, we might have to call this thing the doggy, the Department of Government Inefficiency, because all I'm hearing about is just all of these weird things that they're doing. Like, they're going to the Parks Department, and it's like really small amounts of things that they're doing. For instance, the Parks Department, they laid off like 1,000 people. Where are we really igniting efficiency in regards to that? Because the last I checked, our national parks is a place that we actually need to ramp up the amount of people that work there. Our national parks, I've seen enough to know that those areas are what's preserving some of the wildlife and such. And it kind of needs the current staff that it has. As a matter of fact, you hear interviews with some of these people, and they're already operating with a skeletal crew. So to go rip more people out, and then some of the things they're doing, where they're getting into the social security system and the payment system, all these different things. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but it seems to me more so that it is harassing people than it is doing anything efficient for the economy. So we'll have to
Yeah.
see where this goes. But in its initial rumblings, I don't like what I'm hearing.
The funny thing about it is, I personally think the approach is not an efficient one. And in all fairness, I don't think I've not led a lot of, major corporations, like, so maybe I'm taking this from an outsider point of view, but looking at any situation and going into it without and some level of understanding the landscape, learning what people are doing. Like, there's a way to do this in a way that doesn't create chaos. And I feel like right now at this point, Elon Musk is an agent of chaos. He's just doing, and then everything is under the guise of doing what President Trump says. But it's like, what happened? It's like, I remember when we talked about in Juxtapose, we talked about AI, and you were like, when everybody's using AI, how are these people gonna pay for whatever services that the companies are using, right? I asked a similar question. When we fire all of these people from the government, right? Now, what happens to those people, and what happens to the society or the environment where these people have lived when they can't afford their houses, when they can't, and I am for no meaning arguing for waste, right? Or as you say, the deficit is ridiculous. And I'm all for that. But I feel like by laying off 100 people here, 1,000 people here, is that really doing, like, is that payroll going to make a dent? And when you see people compare it, they're like, this is 2% or 3% of the budget. So why are we doing that when we have, like, the Pentagon and people who haven't been able to pass audit for years, not starting there, right? Like, I think they said that Elon Musk was one of the biggest recipients of government funding from the defense budget.
Start there.
What I'm saying, you know what? I remember Mike Bloomberg, and I always thought when he was a mayor, I was like, he's like, I'm not taking any payment for my job as a mayor. Because he was rich, so he did it, and they paid him like $1 or something ridiculous.
I remember.
And that's what I would expect if you're looking for waste. If you're not. I'm not taking anything because I don't need anything. That is not what Elon is doing. Literally, Elon is gutting the stuff, and it's really when we turn around, it's gonna be, United States of Musk, like, it's just gonna be a lot of stuff that he controls, and it's gonna be kind of crazy. And I don't know, man. I just
the United States of Musk, and him leaving behind just a horrible stench.
Yeah, bro. That's all we're gonna have. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. There's so many things. I mean, the one that I heard recently was him going into the FAA, as we talk about the plane thing, and then essentially the FAA is now rescinding a contract that they had with Verizon and to help innovate some of their systems, and they want to replace it with Starlink, which Starlink, I mean, yeah, just
yeah.
I've come to the place where I'm speechless, and I know we're in a space where we're literally talking about things, but I'm speechless. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those things where we're going to have to just wait and see where things go in the future, because it's too early to tell. So far, it does look like it's causing a lot more calamity than it is doing anything to appease what the American people need in terms of government efficiency. But again, it's been a little over 2 months.
Not
so,
even really.
Yeah,
like,
you're right. It's actually about 4 to 5 weeks. So we're gonna have to really wait and see where things go. It's all speculation at this point.
100%.
I just know in its infancy, it doesn't look good.
The one thing too is that watching the people that are like supporting him and supporting it, right? I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene essentially tell people that, or said that people who are in these federal jobs need to get a real job. Like, and it kind of baffles me because she's a federal employee telling federal employees to get a real job and that they don't deserve their paycheck. And I'm like, are you just self snitching? Like, are you just telling us that you're not worth, like, it's
Yeah, disconnected and lacking any level of self reflection. So yeah,
I mean,
that's what that is.
that is her playbook though. She's and I think now that she's like her boy's in there now, she's doing everything and anything that they say. And honestly, that is the one thing, just before we go into more Donald Trump stuff, the one thing that I find very interesting is that everybody's that like supports him, especially in politics, are using the opportunity to flatter him in order to get their shine. So like the person who submitted the bill to get him a third term, or it's like we're seeing all of these things, and it's like, if I say something positive about Donald Trump, I'm probably going to get airtime, and it's working.
He needs to be extolled and praised and pacified, and yeah, I guess whoever is willing to kiss the ring is going to get their shine.
Well, speaking of not kissing the ring, this happened actually today, and we're going to play a video from it, but apparently there's a Vladimir that Trump does not like. And we're talking about Zelensky. And he literally kind of what felt like attempted to manhandle him in the Oval Office today, which I thought was pretty interesting. But let's play the video. Aaron hasn't seen it, so there's a lot.
Fresh reaction right here.
It's a long one. There's a lot longer video, which I'm not gonna play. This one's only like 30 seconds. So let's load it up real quick. Cue the Jeopardy music.
Boom, 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 boom.
The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy, and I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave, but you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing.
The thing that was interesting in the longer clip that I watched is Zelensky said in 2015, I think it was, don't quote me on the dates, they sat down with France and a couple other people, and they signed a ceasefire with Putin, and he clearly ignored that and went about his business and went to war. So a ceasefire to him doesn't make any sense if we've already been there, done that, and the other party did not actually follow through with that. So it's just one of those situations where I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna like ignore this, and I feel like it's very clear that they don't really care about the geopolitical effects of the decisions that they're making. And then the one last thing,
you say they don't care about the geopolitical effects of the decisions that they're making. Who are you speaking about?
I'm talking about the Trump administration.
Okay.
And now granted, I'm not going to sit here and to wax eloquently on geopolitics because it's not an area that I have a lot of expertise, but there was a reason why everybody, unless I was wrong, but there was a reason why, the last administration was rallying, I think a little bit too much, but they were rallying around Ukraine. So there were some effects that they were trying to prevent. So, but I mean, America's always been the helpful ally, but now, we're talking about taking Canada and, buying Greenland. So maybe we are now the bad guy. So
maybe. But what do you think about what Trump said? Because you said that he mentioned that Zelensky is pretty much empowered to be a tough guy because he's got the United States behind him.
I mean, is he wrong? I don't think so.
That's what I'm saying. I don't really think that I disagree with that statement, because if the U.S. wasn't backing up the Ukraine, would he be able to continue to talk the way that he is and continue this war? I don't think so. Their resources would have already been completely flushed out, and they would have already been taken over.
Yeah. Nope. I mean, that's a good point, but at the same time, what would this mean for the rest of our allies? And I know that NATO is kind of a dirty word these days, but what would it mean for our rest of our allies if other people are able to just start encroaching on the space? You know, what are the effects? What does that mean for the world? So,
I don't know. Unfortunately, these types of issues are issues that I don't pay too much attention to, because you can't do anything about it. You just hear it. You have to accept whatever these higher powers decide to do, and that's it. So I don't know. As someone that lives in the United States and pays taxes and everything like that, I just have to watch them do as they please. I personally would love to see this whole thing come to an end. I'm tired of all the talking. I'm tired of all the warring. I'm tired of all the securities and the stock market being affected every time these goofballs do these things. I'm just tired. It's fatiguing.
yeah. Well, moving on, I guess, to geopolitical. I don't know. I was trying to find a transition there. It didn't work. But apparently we're getting a bunch of eggs from turkeys.
From Turkey.
I had to say it that way. Because I literally, we had a whole conversation where I was like, I literally thought we're getting eggs from turkeys. And I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, due to the fact that eggs are so unaffordable here in the United States, due to the I believe it's the avian influenza, the bird flus. So they're sending us, if I'm not mistaken, the actual numbers, 150 tons or 150,000 tons. It was some ridiculous number of eggs that Turkey is going to start sending to the United States, so that we I guess we have eggs. I guess people really need their eggs. Me personally, I don't think that this affects me that much. I just went to the grocery stores yesterday and picked up 2 dozen eggs, and it was just about $11. Okay. I don't think that's a bad number, but what do I know? I'm not an egg eater. I'm not someone that sits around eating a bunch of eggs on a daily basis. So
wait. So what's the quick math on that? How much was it? How much was for the dozen?
It's about 45 cents an egg. I mean, I don't think that's a bad number. You go to a restaurant, you're going to pay about $1 an egg. So,
well, I think the biggest thing is that, like, and you see everyone talking about it too. The eggs in 2019 were $1.20 per dozen.
2019, you get 12 eggs for $1.20. Where? That's what I don't remember paying that little.
That's what. Listen, I went and checked the stats. That's what they said. We need to get some fact checking, but
this is probably from some small town in Wyoming. Here in New York, I don't ever remember paying $1.20 for 12 eggs. I don't ever remember it being that cheap.
The question is, can you blame Eric Adams for that? Because, you know, he seems like he's. I'm sorry, I was trying to make a transition there. That was too good. You said in New York, and you know, he's this guy here. He seems like a bad guy, but
well, he is an egghead. So if you want to make, if you want to make any comparisons to him and the egg topic.
You know what? That was severely better transition than I could have ever imagined. So, man, as someone who used to live in New York, and I claim to still, you know, be a New Yorker at heart, when I see the elected officials of New York, I'm not happy with this guy. And you know, he made a comment which we'll add in here, but and Aaron didn't hear it because we're having some fun technical difficulties because you're not hearing the actual audio. But he made this comment basically saying, this is a biblical moment, and to all these Negroes asking me to step down, God forbid God forgive us. Forgive
That's
him.
not what he said.
I'm gonna play it in the clip. He literally, I thought
He
it was
said
AI.
Negroes.
He said it was at a Black History Month event, and he said to all the Negroes asking me to step down, God forgive him. After he started off by saying, this is a biblical moment when Jesus was on the cross, he said to forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
So this is a biblical moment. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, he said, God forgive them, for they know not what they do. All these Negroes who are asking me to step down, God forgive them. Are you stupid? I'm running my race right now.
Wow, that's a wild boy right there, man.
I don't know what this man, how do we end up with the Teflon Don wannabe as the mayor?
So there is no one that is of non-Negro descent that wants him to step down. It's just Negroes.
Well, it was Black History Month, so he knew his audience. He was.
That's a wild dude, man. That's a wild statement. I don't even. I have to go listen to this now. At some point.
No, I will. I'll link it here. Plus, I'll make sure I put it actually in the episode because I just it's
That's disrespectful, man. Come on, Black History Month at a Black event. This is what he chooses to do.
This man don't care, bro.
I guess he feels really empowered. I mean, he might be clicking up with those Republican boys again. You know, they already got him exonerated of all of his corruption. Yeah. So maybe he feels empowered. Maybe he's part of the Make America Great Again movement as a Democrat
mayor
politician. But I don't know. That's weird, man.
I've
never been a fan of this guy.
Yeah.
I would like to see him go personally, but I guess he's going to finish out his term. And, you know, that was a big mistake on New York's part, getting him in office. I actually, when he first came into office, thought that he was going to help clean up the city because it seemed like that was his goal. But since then, all I've known about him is he's just been making some really bad moves, linking up with rappers. I don't know what's up with this guy. He needs to go.
He wants to be a rock star. And
For
clearly
real.
by this statement, he wants to be a rock star. And he's like, well, if I say something that's trending, then we're good.
Maybe he's trying to, I don't know, subscribe to the Trump book of public addressing. Because, you know, every time Trump speaks, it's something wild that just goes viral. So maybe he's trying to do that as well. Maybe he thinks that's the remedy.
I mean, I guess it just doesn't really have the same effect because, like, where's Tim Scott? Like, you know, all these people that were out on the campaign trail for Trump, they got no cabinet seats. They didn't get no appointments. Vivek got added to Doge. Within one day he was out. Yeah. One day he was out. So, I mean, I wish him the best. I really don't.
Eric Adams?
I wish him the best. I don't, but you know, I don't have a
I'm not gonna say I wish him the best. I really don't
mean,
care.
I'm trying
what
to be a nice
happens
guy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, more power to you. I'm not trying to be nice at all. Whatever happens to him happens to him. That guy's a piece of trash, man. They need to get him out of here.
He's like the trash cans that he paid that company millions of dollars to figure out what to do with. I don't know if you saw that thing when he had paid some firm like a lot of money to fix the trash problem, and they brought in trash cans, and he was announcing it, and I'm like, trash cans, bro.
So he paid them tons of money to try to figure out the trash problem, and they brought trash cans.
Trash cans.
Yeah. Novel idea. Who would have thought?
And listen, bro.
Let's just add more trash cans.
This is politics as usual.
Ooh,
was that Jay-Z? Politics as usual.
Kindergarten student could have probably figured out something more efficient than that.
For sure. One quick topic that I feel like we probably won't go too deep into is Joy Reid getting fired. And one comedian, I forgot his name, pointed out, he's like, every time there's a change in politics, like for example, you know, the place becomes Republican or it becomes Democrat, the pundits tend to change in the landscape, right? People get fired. So Joy Reid's firing was kind of a big buzz, and I think a lot of it was connected to the conversations around DEI and them removing a black woman from this, you know, her show who's been around since 2020. So yeah, I mean, she was one of the people. I think she was openly critical of Trump. Everybody Republican, pretty much. So I think that like that was kind of a thing. I know she went on something talking about I think it's the tears of white women or something like that. It was, I forgot what she said, and that was like people are kind of attributing that to her exit. But what are your thoughts on this?
Not much to say about it. I just know that she's been very loud, very vocal. She's one of the people that I personally believe is responsible for why Trump is in office today. I think so. There is a certain subset of Democrats that are very loud, very, in my opinion, far left, very stuck in their ways, very adamant about their ways. And I think a lot of that turns a lot of people off on both sides, both Republican and Democratic. And that is what sometimes forces people to start looking at alternatives because they don't align with this. So, it doesn't look good in terms of the optics because I heard that it wasn't just her. There were other people that were released. And in terms of forward-facing people of color, they're all gone. So I don't know if they're going to replace them with anyone that is of color. But, I mean, best of luck to her. Me personally, there's no loss on my part. I don't watch MSNBC, never watched MSNBC, and will continue to not watch MSNBC. I have no interest in any of these people's political ideologies and views, so there's no reason for me to ever turn the TV on to listen to them. And there's a long list of them that I just do not care what they have to say about politics. So best of luck to her. And yeah, that's as far as it goes for me.
I mean, I just on another note, as far as we talking about the shifting of tides, I read somewhere that Candace Owens and somebody else they're making the View style show. I guess for some right wing channel. I'm just she's
like the Republican version of Joy Reid. These are people that I just they're exhausting, man. So now she's gonna create a The View like show, but it's gonna be like a bunch of angry, bitter, disgusting, loud Republican women. Is that what that's gonna be?
I mean, that's what it sounds like. I mean,
hey, more power to them, man. That's another show I will not be partaking in.
Yeah. Anywho, I think that is all a political thing, so we can move on to a lot of entertainment. Everything else for the rest of the day is all entertainment for us.
Yeah, hopefully the one viewer that stuck through the political stuff is still here.
Oh my God! You know what? First of all, we'll say we appreciate you because you made it through the tough part. Yeah. But here we go. All right, so I guess we could start off with another kind of like the hard moment, which is like Irv Gotti's passing. I don't think a lot of people from the new age would understand the impact that Irv Gotti really had on music. Because I mean, he's not been current. So like, if you're not familiar with some of the old things, do you know who he is? And then you just hear him on Drink Champs talking about Ashanti in a negative way. So, like, I don't think, all that aside, I think that we wouldn't have a lot of the music. Like, he was instrumental in, some of the stuff with Jay-Z for, a certain time period. Like, he produced a lot of records. He did a lot of stuff, found a lot of artists there. So, got to give him his kudos.
Low key, he was like a Diddy in his own rights.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking about the baby oil.
Yeah,
not that type of. Just his accolades and his addition to the music industry in the 90s through the 2000s and onward. So yeah.
100%. So RIP to Irv Gotti. So that brings us to another moment where that's actually kind of waterfalls wonderfully into our next conversation, where 50 Cent and Irv Gotti and Ja Rule have had beef for the existence of their time in hip hop. I think a lot of it stems from them being in Queens and Ja Rule, and there are extensive documentary or interview style stuff that You can find on the internet about their beef. But either way, they had beef. And 50 Cent said some crazy stuff on the internet where he was essentially said he was smoking on
that
Irv pack, which for you people who are not a part of the hip hop, it's pretty much the most disrespectful thing you can say to somebody after they die. So as a result of that, Joe Budden's I always put an S on his name. Joe Budden essentially said that 50 Cent needed some therapy. And as a result of that, it created a feud that has been going on for what I would say a couple weeks now.
Yeah, and it's kind of a resurgence because they had beef back in the day. So it's now like, here we are again.
Here we go again.
And this is going to get dragged out because that's kind of how 50 handles things. He's just going to be on the internet posting nonsense for the better part of, I don't know, maybe the next couple of years. This is not going anywhere.
Yeah, and honestly, I was listening to Joe and his team talk about it, and I can understand where he was coming from.
Where Joe was coming from.
Yeah, because it's like, yo, why are we even like why, no matter what, if it just felt like it was in poor taste, is what it felt like. But once again, I can understand 50 Cent too.
50, yeah.
Because like these, allegedly these guys try to have him killed multiple times, and to me, you try to put me in the dirt and I survived. I don't know if I'm going to be like, oh my God, condolences, right? Like, so.
I mean, do you have to say condolences?
You can say nothing.
Exactly. You could just choose to say nothing at all.
Yeah, but that's why, even Tony Yayo had said something like, oh, if I had the money that 50 had, I wouldn't be beefing with like, Big Meech and Lil Meech and all the Rick Ross stuff or something.
Yayo said that.
Yayo said that on
and 50 didn't turn on him?
Yeah, he kind of did. He showed up.
I was about to say.
He played a video with Yayo, like, I guess, like showing his ass on the thing, and then he made a comment. He's like, Michael Rainey from Power Book won a bunch of awards recently, and so gave him a jacket, and he was in the video or in the caption, like he always does. 50's like, yeah, I'm really proud of him. Yayo never gave me anything. I was like, that, yeah, he just doesn't stop. And
yeah. And probably will never
he
stop.
Will never. This is just how he is. And I like 50, and honestly, I'm not surprised by the Irv thing, because as I said, like that's they've been at it for such a long time. I didn't think that's not, it's like a feud where you're not like him, like 50 and Fat Joe are like good friends now, right? Like apparently. And
are they? Okay.
And 50 and Jadakiss are cool, right? Like all of these people who he had beef with, there was no way in hell that him and Irv Gotti and Ja Rule will ever be cool. Like never. So I'm not really surprised about that. But
yeah, I agree.
I mean, any thoughts before we move on to the next 50 Cent drama? Because this is the 50 Cent show right now.
Not really. I mean, there's no thoughts on that. It's like 50's doing exactly what I would have expected him to do. It's like this is behavior we've seen before. This is behavior we're seeing presently, and this is behavior we're gonna see probably well into 50s, 60s, and 70s, and it's not gonna stop.
Yeah, facts. Well, the other one that was very interesting, like I don't know if you watched the BMF show.
I do not.
I watch it religiously, and I actually appreciate. Yeah, wow. No, I do not miss. Honestly, the one thing I would say 50 has given us is the TV that he's been doing. In my opinion, has been some of the better shows that like ever exist.
Really, oof.
I would say like the Power universe.
Wow,
I feel like
okay.
BMF has been pretty good. The Raising Kanan is fantastic. I don't know if you haven't watched it.
I've tried. After the first, I would say maybe 2 or 3 seasons of the original Power, the writing personally for me, I just find the writing and it's just really bad. I can't watch any of those shows. I had to stop.
I would implore you to give Raising Kanan a chance.
I did. I watched the first season of it and I had to stop.
You didn't like that too?
I had to stop. It was just, for me, listen, I don't want to sound like I'm some sort of an elitist, but I'm probably going to sound like I'm some sort of an elitist. Right. It takes a very high degree of production, writing, acting, and all of the above for me to like a show and stick with it. So I'll give an example. Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad,
Wait, you put
Your
Better Call
Honor.
Saul? You put
Yeah,
Better Call Saul in that category?
Better Call
Oh,
Saul is
interesting.
right there with Breaking Bad in terms of
Interesting.
everything I just mentioned. Your
Interesting. Okay.
Honor. These are shows that, in my opinion, are of like their peak. The Wire. Those are the
Hmm.
type.
That's what I
Other
was gonna
than
ask about.
that, it's really difficult for me to stick with a series because a lot of times it's just like, oh man, I just lose interest. The writing is not exhilarating. The acting might not be as good. A lot of 50 shows, for instance, I've watched quite a few of them, and there's two things that all of these shows have in common: tons of sex, tons of violence, and then there's the story in between. And the rinse and repeat of that, it just for me, it's just like, okay, I've seen this before. It's just different characters and a different story, but it's just like I just lose interest. So
I got you. I mean, I think that as someone who, for me, I watch a lot of those crime shows, and I feel like of the ones that exist in that there's very few that you get to see things that are very adjacent to the stuff that we grew up around, right? And that's the one area I feel like with his shows, though, yes, they do have some they're selling stuff, because even in Power, when I was like, it felt like they went a little empire with the family, the new family. um I still feel like it's better. It's a better viewpoint, or closer to like something that would have happened in that real life, like The Wire, or even like Breaking Bad was believable because it was kind of, this person got to the top of what they were doing, and I feel like we don't see a lot of that. So I would still argue, I think that shows are, I mean, we can agree to disagree on that,
yeah,
but
that's fine.
I think the shows are good, and BMF to me was one of those ones that I think there was a kind of folk lore style interest in BMF and Meech and Terry and all of them, to me. So to see it played out in a way that wasn't corny, and then also to have Little Meech play Big Meech, I thought there was a lot of things there I thought that was pretty cool. And but it's no more, and it's no more because of an old beef with Rick Ross and 50 Cent. So I don't know how
Right.
much you know about that, but essentially Big Meech just got out of jail after a long time. I feel like he did a couple of years, like at least a decade, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And he linked up with Rick Ross to do a show. He was doing a show, or like
And
a
he
concert.
took a picture with them, yeah.
Yeah, he took a picture with him, and then like that somehow fueled the beef with Big Meech and 50. And now there's a conversation about 50 Cent dropping something about some snitching allegation, something or the other. It just to me it just sucked, because as I said, I enjoyed the BMF show, and now I'm pretty sure that's, unless this is all just a ploy to get more views, I feel like that's just done.
I don't get it. I also don't understand why 50 would take that personally when, according to Rick Ross, 50 had reached out, or his team or whoever reached out, because they wanted to actually use Rick Ross's BMF song in that show, and he pretty much told them to go F themselves. So it's kind of odd that you would have wanted to use them. Maybe, who knows, maybe that's where the continuation stems from. But I don't know what Big Meech does should have no reflection on his kid, because it's like, hey, whatever you got going on with this guy doesn't mean that I feel the same way. Why should I inherit your beef? But it is what it is. I guess this is what is part of the whole pettiness thing that seems to be celebrated on the internet lately. Pettiness seems to be like something to be proud of lately. So I guess that's a part of it.
Is that a lately thing? Because I feel like that's
To me it is. When I was growing up, being petty was like you're a bitch. That was like adjacent to being a bitch. Now it seems like it's like something to be prideful of. Like, yeah, I'm petty and I'm proud of it. Like, it seems to be that thing now. It seems like being petty and trolling and just being an all around horrible human being is like extolled. Like we praise that online. At least that's how it seems. nothing around pettiness seems to be negative to me anymore. It seems like a quality that people are, I guess, cool with.
Yeah, no, I could agree with that. I feel like pettiness definitely is a mainstay of the internet time now. So I could definitely agree. So yeah. Well, this is the end of the 50 Cent show. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. In another weird, like, kind of odd news here that's been happening was like both Khaled and 6ix9ine got like coffins sent to their house. The Khaled one had a Drake, the 6ix9ine one.
Drake, yeah.
Oh, sorry. You said rest in peace, Drake. I'm like, oh, Dex.
No, that's what the coffin said. Yeah.
And then the other one was 6ix9ine got one.
Rest in peace, King Von.
Yeah, which they had a lot of back and forth. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird trend. I don't know who's doing it. I mean, I guess it's achieved what it's supposed to, I assume, because we're talking about it. But
yeah, everybody's just looking for notoriety on the internet, right?
For your 2.5 seconds of fame, because it's like you're not even getting, the 5 minutes of fame was TV time. You're not getting that no more.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is now, man. It's just goofy stuff on the internet. And you know what? That stuff, it kind of works because people look at it and, hey, we're talking about it, stuff like that. It seems like it works, but like you said, it's something that eventually goes away, and it goes away very quickly. And yeah, so I don't know who's doing it. I don't know what the expectation is, what the reasoning is, but it has happened on 2 occasions. We'll have to see if more get delivered, but all in all, I don't even understand why. Like, what's the overall message that's being delivered here? No one's understanding the messaging behind it. You're just wasting money buying coffins and putting goofy stuff on it and sending it to people's homes.
The Khaled one was concerning though, because they literally got past their security. Like, that, to me, that was like,
hey man, that's a good penetration test. Now I can fire my security.
Everybody gotta go.
Yeah,
everybody gotta go.
Everybody.
Maybe that's the Doge effect. You just you ain't doing nothing.
You're saying Khaled had some DEI hires?
Yeah, apparently. Anyway, 2-8. We're gonna end on a lighter note, depending on where you land on this space of this conversation, but. The Grammys happened also in February. And there were a couple people that are, notable. A lot of people won. I think Doechii, Alligator, Bites
Never
Don't Heal.
Heal.
Never
Yeah.
Heal.
Yeah.
That was a great one. I was pretty happy for her. Beyonce won her first album of the year.
And she won it for country.
So that's why I said I don't know where you end on the on the spectrum, because I'm sure there were a lot of people that were upset.
Yeah,
but
the country music people were upset about it.
You got to blame Lil Nas X.
Why?
He's the one that started this. Like, he started the trend of hip hop blending with country, I think. Well, that's not true. He the most recent one. Because Lil Wayne definitely did the country.
I mean, let's be honest here. She's black, and that's the reason why there's a problem. Come on.
Nah, that can't be it. Not in Trump's America.
No. Yeah. If Taylor Swift did a country music album, no one would give a rat's ass.
Well, the funny thing is, tell us if it's country, supposedly.
Well, isn't she more like pop?
Pop, she is, but she started as a country.
I remember that, like, way back in the day. Okay, so Sabrina Carpenter, if she did a country album, if Billie Eilish did a country album, we would not be hearing what we're hearing. It's because Beyonce's black. It is what it is. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that a black person did a country album. Meanwhile, from my understanding, the origination of country music is black. So what are we even talking about?
Now, listen, you can't go that far, man. You're going too deep.
Yeah, well,
Going too deep. I think the ultimate winner of the Grammys, and then also the rap beef, is Kendrick Lamar. At this point, he won for Album of the Year, Best Rap Video, Best Rap Performance, Best Rap Video. Oh no, sorry, Video of the Year. Sorry. Yeah, I mean,
hey, Drake said it, right? Kendrick just opened his mouth. Somebody go hand him a Grammy right now, and they handed him 5. I don't know if that is something that Drake feels good about in terms of the fact that he said it and it happened, or if this is a slap in the face because it was 5 of them and it was for a song that is dissing him and calling him a pedo. I don't know if it hurts even more because he submitted back to back for Grammys and it lost to Good Kid, Mad City. I don't know what he feels about with this, but this is big, and I'm interested to see where Kendrick goes from here because it seems like he had a really big year, and his big year was mostly focused on the fact that he dissed Drake. So he needs to get away from that. He needs to let his music stand on its own. He needs to get this Musk of Drake off of him. Damn. And just get back to doing what he did prior to this, because I would be pissed off if my entire legacy was mainly remembered as the guy that dissed Drake and had like the biggest diss song because I dissed Drake. I don't like that.
I think that what one of the interesting things about this, and GNX is not all dissing Drake, I don't think.
Not really.
But I do think that it was when you hear some of the backstories of like why he's like really capitalizing on this. I got nothing but respect for him. Like the reason why he's there, like why didn't he do more songs from his like old discography? And they're like, well, all of those are under his original label, right. Whereas now, you know, he literally all the GNX stuff is under his own label that he's now under, and so that means that all those streams and ridiculous numbers, like I remember you posted, I was trying to find the number here, but he's like the third stream person.
He's number 4. The 4th highest streamed artist on Spotify right now. Yes, with 108 million listeners per month, I believe. Yeah, so he moved up in those ranks.
To do all of that, you know, I think it's a good look. And to your point, I do think that, you know, there's going to be an interesting thing to see where he comes from next time, because I know that as a fan who's been a fan for him for a long time, anytime when people expect him to do something, he does the opposite. So when he dropped Good Kid, Mad City, and then he dropped Untitled Unmastered, and then Damn, it was just like not what people wanted. A Good Kid, Mad City 2, and he's not really in the realm of doing the things that I feel like everybody is expecting of him. So
yeah, and that personally, I mean, hey, if he feels good about it, then go for it. Keep doing what you're doing. But to go from Good Kid, Mad City to Pimp a Butterfly to Untitled Unmastered, I didn't really think that was a good transition at all. But hey, some people enjoyed, yourself included, enjoyed that album. Me personally, it's at the bottom of my list. Untitled Unmastered and To Pimp a Butterfly, in my personal opinion, are his worst bodies of work.
The irony is I feel the opposite. I feel like, especially coming back from Section 80, I think he actually it was a nod to the fans from before. And so
I could understand that, but Section 80 was in my opinion, it was an easier listen. I shouldn't say a better listen. It was an easier listen than To Pimp a Butterfly. To Pimp a Butterfly was just too heavy. I guess I'm one of those fans that don't like my music with a dollop of slavery and whipping. You know, I want to enjoy it. It's a form of entertainment, and it's like, yo, when you go that heavy-handed, it's like, listen, I didn't just sign up for Black History Month on record. I didn't. If I wanted that, I'd go read about it. So yeah, to me, it's just too much. When I'm listening to music, there is a level of entertainment that I expect from it. The educational part of it is cool, and I think that Section 80 blended those two together really well. Whereas To Pimp a Butterfly was just all that, and it just wasn't for me. But, you know, I understand it's one of his most critically acclaimed records, and isn't it the one that got him the Pulitzer Prize? So, it did do him some good to write such a record.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, we definitely need to have more music conversations, not on rap, but in general, because I think there's a whole conversation we can have on whether or not that album was as good as people say or not, because to me, I felt like I was gotten very used to the Drake style music, where it's just surface level bars and witty little things about sleeping with somebody else, is like, and I think having something like that was a breath of fresh air. And it was not like, just like Damn was probably a little better of a blending of that, but I feel like that was more geared. Damn was more geared to the people who would have wanted
Commercial.
it. Oh yeah, Good Kid, Mad City too.
Correct. Hey,
So
listen, regardless of how we feel about those albums, you know that it was a staple in history of hip hop,
yes,
because regardless of what you think about it, in terms of the albums that are most talked about, I think To Pimp a Butterfly and maybe
It's up
even
there.
now Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers,
Mhm.
you hear more about those albums than the other albums, because there is no gray area with those albums. It's like I either loved it or
Or
I
you hate it.
hated it. And
Mhm.
for whatever reason, it constantly sparks a lot of conversations. I mean, even in J. Cole's 7 Minute Drill, he kind of alluded to the fact that To Pimp a Butterfly and Mr. Morale were not great albums, because he called the album. He said your last album was tragic, and he was talking about Mr. Morale and the Big
I
Steppers.
disagree,
So,
bro. That was an amazing album too.
but
But
that's
I'm
what I'm
also
saying.
biased. Yeah, I agree. Well, on that note, real quickly, because we had this on and then we didn't really get into it. What is your short take on the J. Cole and Freddie Gibbs beef? Because I didn't know if it's J. Cole. I think it's a Freddie Gibbs J. Cole thing, because I don't think J. Cole has responded.
So my short take on that is I would love to see J. Cole engage, but I understand he loves his peace and he likes to get sleep. So I can understand if he doesn't do it. The only thing that I will say is if you don't want that kind of energy, maybe you should be a bit more intentional about your bars, because you're going to continuously hear people bring up what happened in 2024. So unless you're ready to continuously have that be brought up, maybe you should not start writing bars about you murdering other rap artists and all of this stuff. It's like no one wants to hear that when you were ducking smoke. No one.
I hear you, and we had this conversation already, but I vehemently disagree. I feel like he is in all his right to make the decision of which fights he wants to take on, and which
He's
the
not
Kendrick
taking on any fights though.
But he
That's the
didn't.
problem.
He didn't take on one fight, and then all of a sudden he don't fight. Like,
what fight has he taken on?
What fight has been real for him?
I mean, so when you say real, and we're probably going way off base here, but when you say real, what does that mean?
When you listen to the Like That record, right, that started that beef, those shots were for Drake. And if you listen to J. Cole's response, of all the, like, we could argue of all the records that he's put out for the last 2 years have been flames. So 7 Minute Drill to me felt like succumbing to peer pressure and doing something you didn't feel like doing. And you did it, and you're like, I don't feel right about that. And he gets no credit for being authentic anymore. Like, it's funny because we say we want authentic stuff, and we look at 6ix9ine and all of this shenanigans that he was doing, and we're like, oh no, we don't want to mess with that. And somebody says, I don't want to be a part of this because, and truthfully, he was given insider information because somebody told him, hey bro, this is about to go left, and he's like, you know what, I was trying to rap, but like, this is not it. So, but I do want to say for the record, I am a J. Cole fan, so I'm going to be a little bit biased. I don't think he should change his bars. And truthfully, I feel if it wasn't for the fact that he's really in his zen, I would love for him to crash out on somebody, because I think that's the only way people will get off of the fact. But the man, like, who else is rapping at the level that J. Cole is right now?
I can't disagree with that, but you know what? Unless you're going to get in the ring, you should not be challenging boxers. That's how I feel about it. You just lose a lot of respect, and I'm clearly not the only one that feels that way.
Not at all.
Listen, don't talk that shit unless you are about that shit. That's all I'm saying. What he chooses to do is his business. He's a rapper. I'm not. But I just don't want to hear people talking big shit that don't engage when it's that time. I don't.
We're literally gonna have a whole episode at some point just talking about this, because I definitely disagree. I vehemently disagree, because we have had a lot of times in history where people rap.
I know you wouldn't do that.
No, well, I wouldn't what? Take
you
it back?
wouldn't talk shit unless you were ready to back it up.
100%. But I would also, if me, you, and let's say MVP had a beef, right? I'm not, and if you and MVP are going at it, I just choose MVP because he's not here, but shout out. Would I then, knowing that I'm cool with both of y'all, would I entertain that? And I guess he shouldn't have released the song. He should have just not said anything.
That's how I feel about it.
And
just
that's the
shut
one
up.
thing. That's the one thing I'll give him his L on. Maybe you should have done that. But
he did catch a couple of strays there too.
But he was.
He did say, "Listen, I hope they're my real friends, or else I'm YNW Melly." He said they clicking up, but it ain't legit. No 40 water. No 40 water. There's a few strays he caught in there, and he did on that first person shooter. J. Cole did himself say that he said everybody's big steppers, but he's eating for breakfast. Whatever it is, the way he said it was way more swaggy than anything that I could say. But he definitely was alluding to some things on there. Whoever gave him that information, it might have been a good thing. I'm glad that he did what he did, because I think we would have got mopped up. But maybe not, because you just said, who's rapping better than Cole right now? And I'm gonna say no one, and that includes Kendrick and Drake. Neither one of them are out rapping Cole right now in terms of the work we've heard him put out. What happens when he puts out his what is it going to be called, the Fall Off album? That's to be seen. Because I personally am not a big fan of his full bodies of work. So we'll see.
Yeah. And then I guess I realized we had a bunch of stuff and we're running out of time. But we did see ASAP Rocky get exonerated.
Yes, clap it up for him.
So, celebrate that. Jay-Z's case got dropped.
Yes, another one. Clap it up for him. Black History Month has been good to some black people.
Actually, yeah, you know what? You're right. The funny thing is the lawyer who brought the case against JC is now banned from.
Clap it up for that again. Clap it up for that again.
And then finally we have the Super Bowl.
Right,
Super
which
Bowl
Kendrick killed it. So
yeah, the Super Bowl halftime, I literally was one of those that I think just like To Pimp a Butterfly. You either liked it or you hated it. Yeah, and a lot of people hated it. I thought it was great. I thought it's funny we talk about petty, and I do think it felt a little petty, but
the Drake part was definitely petty. Say Drake, I heard you like him young. That looking in the camera with that demonic smile, that's pettiness at its finest. Yeah, for sure.
But
I think that is pettiness that I can align myself with, because dude is suing. So for you to throw a lawsuit on this to prevent this from happening.
Multiple lawsuits.
And for me to still double down and look in the camera and say your name, that's devious. So
hey, man, it made the man. He didn't run to Atlanta. He run to Australia, and now he's running from Australia. Say Drake, I heard you like to run.
Man. I gotta give Drake his credit, man. The year of abuse this man has taken, and he's still rocking. We gotta clap it up for that. Is he still rocking? He is rocking, man. He put out an album. He's on a tour. He's still visible. I have to give him credit for not running and hiding like your boy J. Cole. Gotta give him credit. Give him credit. That was
unnecessary.
It was unnecessary, but it's facts. My man is still doing his thing. And I have to give him credit for that, because he's looking crazy in the public eye, but he has not changed how he moves. I like that. I love that.
I will not give him credit for that. I'm definitely team J. Cole over here. So,
So yeah, that's the beauty of it. I'm team none of these people.
Yeah.
I like the music, and that's it.
And in conclusion, I have always been a Kendrick fan. Mm-hmm. I was a J. Cole fan. I liked Drake when he first came out. I wouldn't say that I was like the biggest Drake fan, even though people clowned me for being liking Drake records. I like some
Styles was a thing for a while.
I don't. First of all, never condone that. Never agree to that. I am InCrowd Styles. That's about it. But it's just interesting to watch it be here, and I would love to see what happens next. I feel like we're gonna see a redistribution of focus now that like the big three is no more longer the big three, and it's it's just the big K dot.
Nah, the big three is still the big three, man.
Nah,
that has
son.
not changed. Drake,
You think Drake's
Cole, and Kendrick are still the top three that we got right now.
but we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. But
Well, yeah, we could have another conversation on that at another time because I don't see how that changes. But yeah.
yeah, agreed. Well, if you made it this far, you already know what it is. We definitely appreciate you. Thank you for checking out another episode of Wrapped. Any final words, Aaron?
No. Just keep your teeth clean. That's all.
Okay. Peace.
Yeah, peace.